r/ask Reddit. What common misconception do you hate to hear repeated as fact? People can edit Wikipedia so it's never accurate. I know they can, but I think you'll find that very shortly after the edit being made it will be corrected if it is incorrect. Not just anyone can edit every wiki page. Yep, many popular pages are semi-protected. You need an account that's 4 days old and has 10 edits to edit them. Although you can still submit an edit request that will be handled by an admin. Some more vandalism prone pages are extended confirmed protected. You need 30 days and 500 edits. This is common on pages for people like Trump. The pages had so many edit wars that semi-protection didn't cut it. There's also other protection levels. Pending changes allows guests to edit, but must be approved before going live. Permanent protection used to protect certain background scripts, etc. The Wikimedia office can actually lock a page from any edits, even from admins. They only do this in extremely rare cases, and usually only for short periods of time. However, the majority of pages have no protection at all. Want to build up some positive edits? Look up some articles that aren't too popular. A small town nearby or something like that. I see a typo or a grammar error? Fix it. They have a great anti-vandalism bot that patrols new edits. It's really effective at catching vandalism while letting normal edits pass. Einstein failed math. Didn't fail it, but he did dislike it. Actually, that's a bit sensationalist. But he used to get his cousin wife to go over his formulas so he could focus on other things. He married his cousin? Ill. We only use 10% of our brains. We only use 33% of a traffic light. Oh, how much better traffic would be if the red, yellow, and green were all lit at once, all the time. That is my go-to for when that myth comes up. And the red, yellow, green all on at the same time is a decent analogy for a seizure, so the whole comparison holds. A lot of dumb legal arrest myths. An undercover cop doesn't have to tell you he's a cop if you ask. You're not automatically entitled to one free phone call if you're arrested. A cop doesn't have to read you Miranda rights when you're arrested, only before an interrogation. There are all kinds of legal reasons for a cop to detain or search you or your car without a warrant, etc. 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 If I ask an undercover cop if he's a cop and he says no, can I still be charged with assaulting an officer if I assault him? You can only be charged with resisting arrest or assaulting an officer if he identifies himself as an officer. Note that you can still be charged with regular assault. Human blood is blue on its journey back to the heart. I had a long heated discussion about this with my friends one time. They are convinced your blood is blue inside you all the time and is only red when it hits oxygen in the air. Dumbasses don't realize blood carries oxygen. Also, blood is drawn from your veins. Any decent syringe has absolutely no oxygen. The blood inside one is red. End of discussion. Hair grows back thicker if you shave it. It can look thicker though, because when it grew out uncut, the end of the hair is tapered. When you cut it, you get a circular cross-section, which is larger. But if hair grew out thicker each time you cut it, how would it look on men who have shaved a few thousand times? Or on women who shave their legs and armpits a few years and yet resemble a Wookiee if you've skipped a week? This traditionally doesn't happen. That OCD is just being clean, or organized, or checking to make sure you lock the door. No, it's a lot more, and a lot worse than just that. But I check to see if the door's locked every morning. I must have OCD. So, is it locked right now? That Tourette's is the random yelling of profanity. People who actually yell out words or phrases are in the minority, and profanity much more so. Edit, a typo. Also RIP inbox. I was ignorant of this fact until seeing the South Park episode about it, which apparently was applauded by the community for its accuracy. Person with Tourette's here can confirm. I've never had it that severe. More commonly, I sublux my shoulder, blink one eye excessively, and clear my throat. My mother's husband has the dumbest one. He insists is true. If you burn yourself, hold your hand over something hot and it'll suck the heat out of your burn. I'm dying here. Pour some tussin on it. How has someone with that sort of misinformation about thermodynamics survived long enough to wed? English is the most difficult language to learn. The difficulty of learning a language depends on how different the target language is from your native language. Think about it. Do you think a Spanish speaker would have more difficulty with English than Mandarin Chinese? To prove your point, as a native Cantonese speaker, I've learnt all of the languages you've mentioned and I find Spanish the hardest, Mandarin the easiest. Spanish is evil. So many tenses. It is much easier to pronounce words in Spanish than English. They stick to rules. English is like if you read will be pronounced the same as read. So I say Spanish has harder grammar but English pronunciations come from Satan. That libraries are becoming obsolete, and librarians will be out of jobs. The makeup and functions of libraries are changing and, therefore, so are the job descriptions of librarians. We are more adaptable than people think, and we're not going anywhere. I'm friends with a gang of librarians and I totally agree with you. I also live close to one branch and that place is always packed. I'm friends with a gang of librarians that must be useful when it's time to rumble against the poets. When people say Plan B or other emergency contraceptives make a woman infertile after taking it 3 times, takes one quick search on the interweb. My niece told me Plan B will never work again after you've taken it once. Oh dear sweet child, if only you knew how irresponsible I really am. I'll market the same stuff as Plan C for those people. If I earn a little more I'll be in a higher tax bracket and actually lose money. That's not how it works. Only the amount above the threshold is taxed at a higher rate. Medieval Europeans did not believe that the earth was flat. In fact, every educated person at the time of Columbus's voyage believed it was spherical in shape. The belief in a spear-shaped earth traces back as far as ancient Greece, with Pythagoras credited as being the first person to suggest it. Right. It wasn't that Columbus would fall off the planet. It's that India would be too far away if they sailed west. Which is true, if not for the Americas. Columbus would have long run out of supplies before getting anywhere near India. He was lucky that there was a continent there. So today's idiots are even more special. Wear a jacket or you will catch a cold. This always made me mad at my mom. I would sit on the tile floor in pants and she would tell me to get off the cold tiles or I'll get a UT. Haha, my grandmother's was don't sit on the cold sidewalk, you will get hemorrhoids. The stupid sex ruins a vagina thing. No. Well, of course. Sex only ruins the vagina if it happens with multiple different men. R/bad women's anatomy in a nutshell. Millennials are the participation trophy generation. Participation trophies were given out to appease the parents who spent money on sports. Sorry your kid is shitty. Here is a memento that represents your time here. Speaking as someone who grew up in the 90s, I can't believe such an insignificant part of my childhood is now the caviar of right-wing psychoanalysis. For duck's sake, I felt more accomplished evolving my Magikarp. The only reason I even went to sports was to appease my parents. I'm 46 and this pisses me off to no end. Look boomers, it was your ducking idea to give out participation trophies. Also, if you think the millennials were too babied and sheltered, go ahead and pat yourselves on the back for that too. Oh, and thanks for ruining the economy, a-holes. Gen X here too. Duck that self-centered baby boomer generation. Seriously, has any generation done more to completely duck their kids and grandkids? And they're still doing it with tea parties and anti-global warming. What do they care how it impacts people 20-30 years from now? Obviously this doesn't apply to everyone, but generally speaking that generation sucks. GMOs are bad. The thing that irritates me about this is that there are legitimate legal concerns about moss, as the ability to copyright a genetic sequence gives rich people yet another tool to screw over poor farmers. And they do allow farms to use stronger pesticides which could raise health issues and duck up the soil pretty bad. But people saying the genetically modified food is inherently evil makes anyone going after Monsanto for their business practices look like a nutter. That the leader of the wolf pack, the alpha wolf, got there by fighting his way to the top, and that there's a beta wolf circling around waiting for his opportunity to take him down. This came from a researcher in Europe in the 1940s and 50s, who asked various zoos to send him wolves. He then penned them up together and watched how they reacted. This tells you a lot about what happens if you confine a bunch of randomly chosen unrelated wolves in a small area. But of course it tells you absolutely nothing at all about wolf packs in the wild. In reality it turns out male and female wolves mate for life, or at least for years, and wolf pups typically stay with their parents for 2 or 3 years. So what people think are wolf packs are really just a wolf family, father and mother and their latest 2 or 3 years of litters, and the alpha wolf is simply the father. The alpha wolf misconception is particularly irritating because it's often used as justification for a domination style of dog training where the human has to prove he's the alpha dog. Yes, some dogs need to be reminded who's the boss. Other dogs happily accept that their humans are in charge from the get-go, and there's little evidence that dogs think of humans as being dogs anyway. This totally blows my mind. I was obsessed with wolves as a kid and never knew this. So many years wasted. So many zoos ejected from. The claim that crime rates, the divorce rate, and the teen pregnancy rate are rising in the United States. I'm pretty sure if these things all magically dropped to zero, we would still have people screaming about them. Crime rates, people will believe it's more because it's all the news reports on. So even if it's historically low, it's all people see in the news every day interpret it as higher. Divorce rate, I wouldn't be surprised if it is higher since many religions are now allowing divorce since people now get married for love rather than a business agreement. Marriage historically was to increase land, wealth, status, etc. and those two people never wanted to marry in the first place. It was a business arrangement. Therefore less divorce. Prayer was taken out of public school. Nope. That was mandatory sponsored prayer. As long as you're not disruptive, you can pray as much as you like at school. Open bracket. Thanks to Cherry Splosh for the correction. I threw a Bible at a kid in my class from my purse because they were screaming about how it was illegal to have a Bible in schools, and how pissed he was about that fact. It didn't get any sort of point across, but it shut him up and made me happy. Yeah, that's another big myth that's perpetuated by the snowflake Christian types. Not all Christians. I'm one. Just a certain subset. Obviously it's perfectly safe to eat smoke. It's all natural. Arsenic is all natural. Hemlock is all natural. Natural equals good for you. Right up there with I don't pollute my body with chemicals, everything is chemicals. Salesman, it contains no chemicals. My father, water is a chemical. Astronomer here. They have done many studies on this, and statistically nothing is more common on the night of a full moon. Crimes, births, etc. It's just because when something happens that night it's easy to look up and spot a large full moon, leading to a confirmation bias. Also random fun fact. The fact that human women have a menstrual cycle of 28 days on average, the length of the moon's cycle, is also completely coincidental. The only other mammal that has the same cycle duration is the opossum. Believe it or not. I'll choose not to believe it. Journalism is going downhill. No, it's going out of business. No one pays for it anymore. So you're just getting the crappy ad-supported free version that only has 1/5 the content. Everyone I have ever met who thinks journalism is going downhill radically overestimates how good journalism was in the past. Journalism has always been fairly shitty. Nationally, sure, but on the local level it's hard to even comprehend what was lost. Local politicians are basically unsupervised these days. The Flint thing is a great example there. Story got broken by an independent working for the ACLU because the local paper didn't have anyone covering water/utilities. My wife used to be a utilities environment reporter, and it's an important job about stuff that no one cares about until everyone cares, and it's too late. That weed is good for you. Burning something and inhaling the smoke fumes will never be good for you. That opposites attract. They've done studies on this, and there's a reason you don't see brain surgeons marrying McDonald's counter people. We all tend to stay within a group of similar people. I think there's a certain logical level to this. Brain surgeon plus McDonald cashier might be unlikely, but a more talkative partner might be attracted and balanced out by a more quiet partner. I think this applies more to minor opposing traits that help balance out each partner's. They do if you're magnets. I'm surprised I haven't seen this one yet. People in the Middle Ages only lived to their 30s. No, they didn't. The amount of infant deaths at the time offset the average age of death. If you so much talk to a police officer in America, they will shoot you. I'm from the UK, this is what my family think. That's not true at all. You don't have to talk to a police officer to get shot by one. That's just silly. The key is to be some sort of brown. This came up a lot when Jurassic World came out. A duck ton of people were saying, why don't all the dinosaurs have feathers? I'm so smart because I heard that once and now I am repeating it. Around the time I was taking a class on dinosaur evolution for my university science requirement, and my professor drilled into my head that only a specific type of dinosaurs had feathers. I can't remember whether it was all theropods or a specific group of theropods. It was infuriating because I knew they were wrong, but I couldn't correct them because I'm not sure myself of what the right answer is. As well as the fact that it was literally already answered in the first film by them explicitly stating that they weren't real dinosaurs because they mixed the DNA with frogs and shit. Not to mention they had the line, you didn't want real dinosaurs, you wanted theme park creatures. You can't be allergic to meat. I get this from when people hear of my pork allergies. I wonder how many of these corrected misconceptions will still be wrong. Some of them are. Or they're actually things everyone knows. Shrugs, it's the internet. Everyone's an attractive genius on the internet. Whenever someone says the Great Wall of China is visible from space, my head basically explodes. How stupid could you be? Most houses are wider than that wall is. They might as well all be visible from space too then. Well, to be fair, everything is visible from space if your telescope is good enough. It's only a theory. FFS. It's a scientific theory, something which has been studied, peer-reviewed, tried to debunk, and still works. What you think about theory actually is a hypothesis. Please inform yourself before opening your mouth. This and that, because 3% of scientists, whose main area is not even climatology, don't think climate change is caused by human activity. It must be false. That tetanus is caused by rusty nails. Duck off. It's caused by bacteria that happen together in dirt, where a lot of rusty nails are. Rust is iron oxide, completely inert. I always heard that it was because the flaky surface of a rusted object is a great place for tetanus bacteria to live, and nails provide a great way to inject that bacteria past your skin. That humans only have 5 senses. Humans actually have way more sense. Possibly even up to 50 different senses. Some examples include balance, pain, body position, etc. My fashion sense is impaired, though. Too bad. Common is the sense that most people seem to be missing. That Heath Ledger died because he became obsessed with playing the Joker, especially the 2 hours of sleep a night part. In reality, he suffered from severe insomnia for years, and it was a cumulative escalation of many things in his life, not a ducking result of playing a character in a movie. Koala bear. Koalas are not bears, they are marsupials. Ha, yeah right. Next you'll tell me that strawberries aren't really berries. It isn't the name numbnuts. A peanut is not a nut, it's a legume. Tea has more caffeine than coffee. It's true, but only if you compare tea leaves versus coffee beans. As an actual drink, coffee contains 2 to 5 times as much caffeine. Source: did the extraction. Similar comment I made in another thread. The vast majority of marine biologists do not swim with dolphins. If you put organ donor on your license, they let you die. Few things about this chap, my ass. First, I'm pretty sure doctors and nurses aren't like, hey, let's save this person. Actually, check his wallet and see if he's an organ donor. So basically, they are gonna let you die, just to harvest organs with the possibility they might save another. Not to mention, most states have laws regulating organ donation where your next of kin have to sign off on it. Secondly, there are tons of people that might not have organs, but would gladly give you their ducking pianos. A nurse here. Patient came in the other day with a toothache and we found out they were an organ donor. Smothered them with a pillow as soon as we got them in the room. This restaurant is allergy free. Over 150 different foods have been medically documented as causes of life-threatening anaphylaxis. The restaurant accommodates only 8 allergens, which still leaves a portion of severely allergic people at risk of a medical emergency. Anaphylaxis is anaphylaxis no matter what causes it. Yes, it's possible to be deathly allergic to tomatoes or kiwi fruit. Please don't misinform the public by claiming a facility's accommodations are more comprehensive than they really are. Edit. There's an app that uses the term in its title and magazine headlines use allergy-free phrasing. Even in the restaurant trade press, they usually have fine print that says free from the 8 major allergens. So it's technically not false but misleading. A reasonable person who doesn't read obscure case studies in medical journals can come away with the impression that other allergens would only cause minor reactions. That just means the restaurant isn't allergic to anything. Prosperity Bible bullshit. Being a good person doesn't automatically make you richer, nor the inverse, that rich people are more pious because they've been rewarded. In fact, the opposite is usually true. It's much easier to make money if you don't mind ripping people off. I'm a Christian, and honestly I think that the prosperity gospel is the biggest threat to Christianity, not LGBT, not liberalism, not Islam, not any of the things that seem to get punted as the threats to my faith. It's people like Joel Osteen who preach harmful messages to millions of followers. That's the threat. That peanut butter is a good source of protein. It's a great source of fat. But if you are trying to lose weight and only use peanut butter as a protein supplement, you are gonna have a bad time. It is a good source of protein and fat. As you said, it's not a low-calorie source of protein. If you are trying to gain weight, peanut butter is your friend. I wrote this about a billion times, but here goes. Columbus did not, and I repeat, did not discover the earth was round against the orders of the superstitious Catholic Church who were trying to suppress the truth about the round earth. Anyone who can half decently speak Greek, educated class and the clergy, knew the earth was round. The Greeks knew this long ass time ago. Main reason the Catholic Church was against Columbus's expedition is because he greatly underestimated the size of the earth, and Catholic officials were concerned that Queen Isabella is wasting her money on an expedition doomed from the start. Jimi Hendrix did not cut his forehead and stick acid in his headband to get high. He always wore that headband because he had bad acne and was self-conscious about it. It upsets me every time someone says that. The customer is always right. All women want children. No, we don't. If you eat fat, carbs, processed food, you'll gain weight, and if you don't eat them you'll lose weight. All that matters to lose weight is consuming fewer calories than you burn. You can lose weight eating whatever you want as long as you eat little enough of it. If counting calories didn't work for you, you did it wrong. I see people on Reddit a lot saying ADHD isn't real, and they never get called on it like they would about depression or anxiety, because so many people who don't have ADHD like to say they do as an excuse for their lack of reliability. My brain turns off when I have to do something I'm not excited for. It's not that I don't want to put in the effort that I could. It's that I try to do it anyway and my brain goes blank. Similar to the feeling of writer's block. Things that I normally know well will be completely inaccessible to me in the moment when I try to switch focus to something else. I hate it, and my life is considerably further behind from my peers due to circumstances stemming from this. My parents always parroted these same myths, and I had to wait until the age of 20 when I moved out to seek diagnosis and treatment. I'm now climbing my way out of a pit that I thought I would exist in my whole life. But it's not easy and never will be. Whoa, you made it to the end? You're a ducking beast. I'll cut you a deal. Smash like and subscribe for more curated content, bruh. It's free and that's a great price.